live at the very end.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm just switching back to
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So for brushes, we will need kind of I'm going to be using this kind of brush here, just a larger and a smaller version of the same kind of shape of brush. So as long as you have those two, and then,
Do you know what,
yeah.
you know what what their size is? Like,
Oh,
are they 12,
yes.
6, 8?
This one is a 10, and this one is a 6.
Okay.
Yep. So I think that should work pretty well if you have something close to that.
10 and 6.
Okay. Perfect. And then for colors, we're just going to be using, do you guys have the exact same painting palette as we do, or do you have your own watercolors?
Oh yeah, it's the oval version.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's definitely pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to be using a lot of purples and oranges and yellows. So I think we're just going to get started with the background, and then we'll do a dry break. And then we actually do need to sketch things out first. So let me just grab
I need a pencil.
Yep, just get a pencil and maybe an eraser. So here, I'll go get one myself. Okay.
What? Yes, Heather sounds very faded though. Not very well. You sound very echoed. You sound like you're in a tunnel. Honey, where's my water? No. Actually, go away. No, it's in the
So yeah, we're going to start sketching out the trees first, just the kind of general shape of the trees. So we're just going to kind of roughly sketch in where those spots will be, so when we lay down our background colors, we won't get any moisture or paint in those areas. Just so then we can, when the background dries, we can work on the trees and we won't have any other colors interfering with those trees or those tree areas. So is everybody good to start sketching? We good? Okay, awesome. So the top third of the canvas here is where we're going to kind of draw our horizon line. So I would say about right here is good. And we're actually, I don't even really know if you want to draw a horizon line. It might end up being a kind of a pencil mark, but that's just kind of where we're going to roughly start to draw our trees. So if you maybe want to make 2 little marks just on the sides, just really faint marks, and just so you can kind of imagine where the horizon line would be. So it's kind of hard to see it on camera, but I'm just kind of marking the two little edges here. Obviously making sure they're even. I think mine's a little off, but. Have you done any of the other watercolor classes?
Yes, we've done quite a few.
Oh, awesome. So you're pros. Okay. Well, I haven't taught any other watercolor lessons before, so.
We're breaking you in.
Yeah, exactly. If you have any oh, this is maybe not the quite, I don't know, but if you have any helpful, I'm always open to take suggestions, right? Okay, so once we have our kind of horizon area marked, we are going to just roughly sketch in the 4 kind of tree areas as you see in the image, the 2 on the right side and the 2 on the left, and just the kind of general outline shapes. So I'm going to just kind of start by very lightly. They should just be very faint, just kind of drawing in the shapes of the trees. I'm just kind of making them jagged, and if you don't like the shapes of them, it's okay, because really we're not going to stay trooper, super true to these anyway. We'll be painting over them and okay. So yeah, I'm kind of just starting with the top trees up here. Just kind of making I do like watercolor trees and the fact that you don't have to be super specific with anything. You can just kind of make little weird squiggly mounds and they kind of work out. Okay. I'm just actually gonna there we go. Okay. And not only are we going to draw the trees, but we're going to draw the reflection kind of area as well, just so actually, you know what? At least for the top right-hand trees, I'm not gonna. Sorry. I didn't actually, when I was doing the practice round, I didn't actually section off the areas for the trees and not paint them. I just kind of washed the color all over everything, and then I kind of discovered that it didn't quite look as good as if we would have sectioned off the areas for the trees. So this is kind of slightly different on my half. So yeah, once I have this kind of area for the trees, I'm just gonna work on the other ones. We'll do the ones on the upper left hand side. These kind of go slightly below the horizon line. And just the highest tree peeking up above the horizon line, but then the most of them, they just kind of dip below it. Have you guys had a favorite watercolor yet so far? One that you really enjoyed?
I don't know. Which one do you think, Nancy? Do you have a favorite? There's two. Which one is my favorite?
If it's a hard question, you know, you don't have to. I've stumped you. It's okay. There's a lot of really nice ones.
Yeah. I did the first one that I did was the little blue bird with Shanna.
Oh yeah.
I still like that.
Yeah.
There's two.
That is really cute. Did you do that one in studio?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I remember that. That was a really pretty one.
I like the walking the path winter theme one too.
Oh yeah, that one is nice. Yeah.
Well, I did the dragonfly, and I love dragonflies. I like that one.
Yeah.
Would be your favorite? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look at them again.
I also like the chickadee.
Yeah, that is cute. I did the fox one, and I liked the fox one a good amount.
That was my first one I did, so.
Okay, I'm just drawing the bottom trees now. Again, just kind of. Sorry, what was that?
That was my husband talking to my son.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. You need to be quiet over there.
Okay. There's one pretty big tree on the bottom here that kind of almost touches the reflection of the trees in the upper right hand corner, so let's just keep that into account. You, like I said, you guys are pros, so you guys just feel free to, if you want to work ahead or, you know, whatever. I'm just here to help. Okay, I'm just going to draw the bottom trees and we can get going to the next part of our painting. Okay. So once we have the very light sketches of those trees, we are just going to start with our background sky and water, just the faintest colors, and just very light with these as well. So I think we're going to start up at the sky here and making sure to avoid the areas that we've sketched out and not paint over those, just because it seems like there's some white peeking out from those. And we're probably going to even leave areas of white on the canvas too in the sky and the water, but kind of putting in colors here and there and letting them disperse. So I think we're going to start out with the purple at the top, but I guess let's just get our colors all ready. So I'm going to first get some water on my tray, and we're going to kind of get a purple in there. Now for my palette here, it's a little bit messy, but I'm going to be using these two purples. One's kind of a darker purple with a bluish tint. The other is a little bit more of a reddish tint purple. And I'm going to kind of be mixing those just to create a really nice medium purple. And occasionally I'll let those two different purples kind of interact with each other, and more stronger of a purple in one area. I'm just going to use the two shades. So I guess I'll just lay down my lighter purple with the red tint right here. And on the other side, I'll put the darker purple. I might mix some. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna just take, well, actually, you know what? Let's get the rest of our colors before we dive right into this. So then for the sky, we're also going to be using the kind of light orange, and then the darker orange and the yellow. So I'll get those three kind of laid out as well in areas. You guys had pretty busy days?
Yeah, working.
Oh, working? Yeah. Long work day?
Yeah.
And you guys said you work together? Am I right by?
Yep.
Yeah. Work friends. That's great.
Even though we haven't seen each other in person for 4 months.
Oh no. Oh, are you doing just
Work from home.
work from home? Okay. Man, it's already been 4 months.
Yep, 4 months.
That's crazy.
It'll actually be 4 months tomorrow, so.
It just feels, that's wild. Yeah. It must be around the same amount of time. Well, I think I stopped going to class, or we stopped in class schools around spring break, so that was April? No, yeah. I mean, we had at least a month, if not more, of school in online, I should say.
Well, spring break was, John was on spring break the week I moved home.
Okay. Yeah, so it must be, yeah, around like 2 months of in class or in online. What am I talking about? Man, I think I need to wake up a little more. Okay. I'm just gonna get that yellow down too. These are pretty concentrated right now, but we'll make sure they're pretty light going on the paper when we get it. Okay, besides that, I might just lay down a little bit of blue as well, just so when we get to the water. And the blue we're going to be using, there's a couple different shades of blue. There's like the aqua blue and then just the kind of regular ultramarine blue. And we're going to be using the non-aqua blue, so I'll just lay down that as well. Okay. Great, great. Yeah, I think, and I'm pretty sure that's about it. So, at least for now. Now we're just gonna do wet on wet. I'm sure you guys know what that means, but if you don't, we're just gonna take our brush and we're gonna start with the sky first. And we're gonna kind of leave a little bit of a white line where the horizon is. So we're not going to quite touch it with the paint just yet. We're going to just kind of start, just so there's a differentiation between the sky and the water, just a little bit of white space. But we're just going to start laying down with our larger brush some water on the canvas, getting it wet, and avoiding those trees. You kind of have to work fast when you're doing this. If it dries before you can get to the rest of it, no worries. Just re-wet it. And you can be pretty loose with your brush strokes around the trees. If you accidentally go over some of it, is fine. Okay. Okay. And then you know what, I think I will just go right down to the horizon line, because then when we put in the water, I'll just go a little bit below the horizon line, if that makes sense. So there's that white space, but I hope I'm making sense. Okay, they're gonna kind of blend into each other a little bit anyway, so okay, so and with these trees here, if we're looking at the image, I'm just going to show you the image. Also, I have it printed out. So if this is the horizon line, there is a little bit of bleeding from the sky into the water, especially with the tree over here. So if you want to get this area wet as well, even though it's technically below the horizon line. I'm saying horizon line a lot, but yeah, I'm just going to put a little bit down there because it doesn't seem to really make it super different. Okay, let me just make sure everything's all wet, and we're gonna go in with laying down our purple in the upper left-hand corner. Just very faint at first, and then we can add some more in as we go. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of the lighter purple and the darker purple. Okay, and we're just gonna start and put that up in the upper right-hand corner here. And it should be super light, so I'm just gonna kind of drag that out on the top, just so it kind of disperses. Okay, and a lot of what I'm going to be doing is like letting it maybe partially dry and then coming back with the same color and darkening it in a few areas, and maybe, well, and then once, you know, it's a lot of fidgeting, I feel like, you know, just kind of just tiny little steps. But now that we have that little purple laid out, we're going to kind of work on the yellow a little bit. So down kind of by these trees over here and the lower part of the sky on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, we're just going to put in some of that yellow. Again, we'll kind of make it pretty light at first, and if we want to make it darker, we'll just go back in. So I'm going to kind of lay that down here. And we're going to have that yellow kind of blend in with the orange. So Don't worry about them being super separate colors. They all just kind of bleed into each other beautifully. So I'm definitely going to have the yellow kind of... Also, if you can't see anything I'm talking about, since we're using such light colors at the moment, just yell at me and I'll show them to you a little better. So, okay, and then I'm just going to add in a little more yellow kind of by these other trees here. You might notice some areas of your paper start to dry before you can, they don't quite disperse as well as you'd like. So then just take more water and just kind of go around it and it'll disperse a little better. So I'm going to kind of leave some white, just a little bit of white down here, if that makes any sense, just right kind of in this middle horizon area. And then I'm just going to try to work fast and go around the other trees here. It's just a battle. It's a battle against time with watercolor sometimes, if you want it to look the way you're hoping for. But then again, watercolor also, you just kind of have to, I've noticed you kind of have to let the creative process take the wheel, and you can't really control it as much as you'd like to, so you just kind of have to let it do its thing, and sometimes it turns out better than you thought it would, or better than you expected, but just by kind of letting it do its thing. So okay, and then I'm going to, right when I have the, are we still doing good? I'm not going too fast or anything?
I'm good.
Okay, then we're just going to add in a little bit more orange, just kind of where it blends with the yellow. We're going to do a light orange first. So, ooh, I really put that in there. Yeah, we're just going to kind of work that in and maybe have that orange on the right side go up into the corner, just barely. It's just ever so faint right now, but we'll darken it up. We're going to kind of work on after we have our initial faint colors, and it should still hopefully be wet because there's a lot of moisture in this, so we'll add a little bit darker, make it a little bit darker. Okay, I'm going to put that there. You just kind of drag it down just a little. Okay, and then I'll put it on the other side, this lighter orange, with the yellow. Okay, and now that we have our initial colors kind of in, I'm just going to go in and darken up a few areas, particularly by the edges and the bottom of the trees with the yellow. I'm just going to kind of add a slightly little more concentrated yellow and a little more concentrated orange. So we're just going to kind of, it should be still a little bit wet. If it isn't, feel free to re-wet those areas. Okay, I'm just going to kind of add slightly darker here and, yeah, down by the line of the trees on the right side. And I'm going to kind of re-wet this purple area too, just a little bit, especially in the upper left-hand corner here, just so I can add in a slightly darker purple. Just a little dot in the corner here. Might go in with the darker blue purple and just kind of add just a little more. Oh, and I should have made sure to ask, do you guys have your, I'm guessing you have your paper tape down and everything?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, perfect. See, like I said, pros. Okay, so yep, then I'm gonna just keep adding a little bit more concentrated colors with the yellow and the orange. So it really pops out, because okay, we're almost there. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back to the orange, a little more orange. There might be times when I make it too concentrated, so I'll just like lift some out. I'll kind of dry my brush, and these brushes do a really good job of soaking up water. Okay. Yeah, because I might, on this right side here, as you can see, it's a little too concentrated. I added in just a little too much, so. Okay. Okay, we're almost there, I'd say. And then I'm just going to take, in this upper right-hand corner, I'm just going to take a little of the darker orange, the more reddish orange, and we're just going to kind of work that into the orange, the lighter orange, just a little bit. Maybe, yeah. I think, let's see. Yeah, I think that's good for now. I think we're gonna call that good, at least with the sky. And we'll probably, let's see, well, yeah, I think it's dark enough. So now I guess we're gonna move on to the water, and still avoiding the trees. We're gonna, let's start at the top here. And we're gonna leave just a little bit of space in between our sky and our water. So I'm just gonna go a little bit below the horizon line just to create that kind of, keep the slight separation of the water with the white line. And with this top half here, I'm going to kind of split the water into two sections. There's going to be a very faint kind of yellow section and a blue section. So the blue is going to be at the bottom, and we're going to leave just a little bit of area of white in between here. So if we're looking at the image here, we have our yellow section of the water and then our blue section of the water, and then there's just a little streak of white. So we're going to leave just a little bit of separation, just almost like a little oval right here in the middle by the trees. Just maybe like right down here, if that's making any sense, where we're not going to cover that with paint. Okay, we're going to do the orange upper section first. So just make sure the upper part of the water is wet, including, you can kind of see the reflection here of where I'm working at, but just kind of going around the outside of these trees here, and then kind of going over and doing this side of the tree in the under half here. So just kind of this whole section is what we're going to get wet and work on. And then we'll go to the blue area first, but my stuff is starting to dry. I gotta come back and get it. Okay. So, yeah, we're gonna add in a very light orange on this side here. So we're gonna get the light orange, and even lighter than the sky. We're just gonna kind of work it in, and instead of, I was doing a lot of kind of just little tiny stippling kind of here, just little tiny marks on the canvas, but here we're gonna kind of move horizontally with it. So I'm gonna get my really watered down orange and kind of, whoa, that's not as watered down. Here we go. Yeah, and just kind of work that along this half here. And then the other half is going to be yellow. I hope I'm not making this too complicated. If I am, just let me know. Okay. We're going to kind of move that orange out to, I'd say almost where the top of this tree, the tallest tree here is, or one of the biggest trees. And then we're going to kind of blend it right in with the yellow. So then we're going to take our light yellow and just kind of work that in and have them kind of just blend together. It should be super faint. Okay, and I might add just a little bit more concentration of color, maybe like down by, we're looking at the image, maybe just like down by here in between these two trees. Just kind of add just a little bit of yellow, a little bit more yellow, and maybe a little bit more yellow on the side here. And maybe just a touch more light orange kind of down by these bottom trees here. Okay, how are we all feeling? Do we need a little more time? Okay, no worries. Yeah, no worries.
didn't say who the text came from. That's not right. That's not right.
Okay, how we doing?
Let it dry.
Okay, yep, yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna move on to the lower part of the water here, the first layer of the water, and then, yeah, we'll give it a dry break because a lot of this stuff is still pretty wet, so. Yeah, so all we're gonna do now is just work on the blue part of the water, the really faint blue part of the bottom half here. So if we're looking at our painting, I'm gonna kind of lay down my water right below these trees here, so leaving again a space in between, and then kind of even just like go down into here. And if you notice, there are a few areas where we kind of go onto the dry part of the canvas and we make just little streaks, almost like ripples in the water. And so those are a little bit more sharp on the canvas. Does that make any sense if I'm saying that correctly? Like we are going to have a lot of kind of washy background colors, but then there's a few areas where I'll give an example. I'll show you guys. So, okay, so we're going to lay down that water, and then right in this area where we kind of have our white, we're just going to have take the brush and make a few little streaks, almost like ripples in the water. And we'll put our blue in. So, and this orange area here, down here, and the blue area can kind of touch and interact a little bit. So let me show you, get my really watered down blue. Okay, and we'll just kind of lay that in. Yeah, I believe Josiah must have painted this image, and he's just such a talented painter. What was that?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, he did, yeah. Well, he's such a talented painter and artist, and I wish I could have asked him about some of his techniques because there weren't really any instructions for me. So I've kind of had to just kind of like deconstruct it and see what he was doing, because there's some subtle things in here that he put in that really look beautiful. I just got to make sure to instruct you guys about that so we have the same effect here. So after you get this area pretty saturated, it seems like there's also, I think we're gonna, and I can't tell. Yeah, this is very, very skillfully done, but I'll see if I can't try to figure it out. So once we lay in that blue, there's also a little bit of purple as well. So especially in the bottom here, just right by the bottom of the canvas, there's a little bit of purple in that water. So yeah, a lot of it's pretty faint. And it seems like a little bit of yellow by the trees too, but I can't quite tell. It seems like they might be part of the trees themselves, or maybe they're surrounding the water, but here, I'll kind of try to figure that out here. Okay. I'm going to put in some purple now. We'll have that blend. It seems like it's the lighter purple, or a mixture, I would say. Probably the mix of the light and the dark. Yep. Just put a faint hint of purple down there as well. On the bottom of the trees. Just a touch of purple, kind of in the blue. I think we're going to wait on the yellow by the trees. I think we're going to wait for that to dry so it doesn't turn into a green, kind of an ugly green, but I don't want that, so. Okay, and I'll add in just a little bit more blue. Some spots, just a little more concentration of blue up near the kind of ripples in the water, just so they stick out. Okay. Maybe just a little bit more purple near the bottom as well. Okay. And with that, I think we're just going to have a little bit of a dry break now. So feel free to hang out, and we'll probably resume in about, oh, I'd say 15 minutes. Upper part of our sky should be mostly dry by, well, it might even be dry now, but we'll just make sure.
I'm gonna run and make something to eat real quick.
Yeah, do it. Get a snack.
Oh, my camera's on my computer. Shanna not there? Oh, Jen, my computer. No, my computer, my, because I'm on there twice. I must have twice. I must have once on the computer and once on my phone. My phone and You're on a break.
Oh, how can it see me? Oh, the mirror, stupid. Why the frick do we have that mirror?
Oh, wait.
Okay, what the is it? Oh, this is really bad.
The magnets are stuck. Now let's see if the actually goes through.
Oh my god. Right? What? What do you think? I mean, I know that one there. Oh, oh. The guy put the belt here, but a little cap.
But he went over these himself to his mother.
Yeah. How does he know? He doesn't seem to know her.
He didn't know. She just knows. She doesn't know him. She just found out who was it back.
She found out his name.
Yes.
I'd say we'd give it like 5 more minutes and then we're good. I just want to make sure
Okay.
it's definitely dry before we get started on the next section, so.
Okay. Right? So we can start bowling. Okay.
We'll give it like 2 more minutes and then I think, how is yours looking, Heather? Ooh. Ooh, beautiful. I love it. I know, it looks so faint right now, but really, you gotta do the underwork before you can get to the fun stuff. All right, are both of yours as dry or?
It's slightly damp in a few spots.
Slightly.
But not bad.
Okay. Well, maybe we can. Yeah, I think it should be okay. We're just going to kind of start working on the trees now. And if you have a damp spot around one of the trees, then we can just work on another tree. But I think we'll probably get started if that's cool. Okay. So now we're just going to lay down some more undercolors for the trees at least. We're going to kind of do the undercolors for the trees, and then we're going to move on to putting in a few ripples in the well, it looks like an ocean. Maybe it's a lake. The water, and then we'll also put in the clouds, and then we'll kind of come back and do some more details on the trees until we finish. So let's do those trees now. I guess I'm going to start at least at the top here with these trees up here. I am just going to lay down some blue, some light blue. It seems like there's a few layers on these trees, so we're just going to put down, we're going to leave a few white areas into the trees. There's, as we can see by the image, seems there's a few spots where there's mostly white, just kind of on the corners of the trees. So I'm going to start laying down more water. And especially with the bottom, the little smallest parts of the trees right here, I'm going to kind of just leave a few chunks of white in there. And I believe I'm also going to kind of put down some water for the shadow, or the reflection of the trees, I should say. So as we kind of move out this way, I'm going to put a little bit more water over some of this orange. And they don't even have to be very spiky or perfect like the tops of the trees. They just kind of have to generally come out a little bit more. Don't be too critical about it. It's nothing crazy. Okay. Okay. Now I'm just going to put in some lighter blue. First, ooh, that's actually, what am I talking about? That's pretty dark. Okay, we're going to spread that around. Including the shadow here. Or the reflection, I should say. Oh, that was my alarm for 15 minutes, but seems like we didn't quite need all of it. Okay, so then once I've kind of laid down this base color, I'm just going to go in a few areas and darken it just a little bit. So I'm going to kind of give it a little more shadow, primarily towards the back of the trees in the corner here. So I'm just going to kind of, in the center, add a little bit more concentrated color. Just where the shadows would kind of exist. And in this bottom reflection here, just gonna kind of add in. What was that? Okay. Okay, and then I'm just gonna let it be for now, and we're gonna let that dry and we'll come back to it. So, yeah, we'll give that another layer as we go, but I'm just going to then kind of do the same with the trees also kind of up here on this side. We're just gonna kind of lay down. It doesn't seem like there's much white areas that exist within these trees, so I'm just gonna kind of go over the whole thing and lay down a pretty light blue, and then keeping it still wet, we're gonna do just a little bit of purple in there as well.
Aren't those purple to begin with?
You know, I think there is a lot, well, they're mostly purple, but I think the initial like underlayer has some blue in there. So we're gonna at least do blue kind of on the outside edge of the tree here, and then we'll do like some purple mixed in on the interiors of the trees.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see in the reference image, but on the screen, but there is a little bit of blue on the outlines of those trees. So, good question though. Yes. Once I lay down kind of a light layer of blue, then yes, I'm definitely going to take that purple and put in a good amount, kind of maintaining kind of near the center and the edge of the tree, not so much the edge of the canvas, not so much the stuff touching the water, I should say. We'll just leave a little bit of blue there. I might actually even have a little more dark purple. I'm kind of running out of my 2 different shades of purple. I'm gonna have to mix more, but I might even put just a little bit more dark purple in that, just to kind of darken it up. So. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that good with that tree now. And how are you two doing?
Good?
Okay, we're ready to maybe move on to some of the bottom trees?
I am. How about you, Heather?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Got a little too much water, just picking a little of it up here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is such a easy thing to do.
I'm actually going to go change my water.
Sure.
Thirsty, honey? Thirsty?
Wow, and we have almost a whole hour left. So I don't know. I think we might use the whole hour. I'm still not sure.
Yeah, they're over here. Oh, man. Your number's getting more younger. First, when she's 5. Well, yeah, that's true. I changed it. What's next? Oh, I feel sorry for her. Better now? Yeah.
Okay. So still using the same brush, we're just gonna move on to, let's say, this lower right-hand corner here with the trees. And now I see a couple different colors in the base. Near the very corner of the trees that are facing the water, I see a little bit of yellow. And then I also see a lot of blue, obviously. So I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to leave just a little bit of space, a little bit of white between the outer corner of these trees that are facing the water for the yellow, and a little bit of white between them and the blue, because, you know, we don't want it that, we don't really want green, which is it's kind of weird, because yeah, they're trees. You'd think they'd have the green color, but if you want the green, you can definitely do that. I'm not gonna, it's up to you. But so I'm just gonna lay down a little bit of water on this outer corner near the water. The water. And then get that yellow. Just kind of put that in. Okay, and it's just a little bit of yellow, just a pretty faint yellow. And actually, I do see it on the other trees in the bottom too, so I'm gonna put those also on the side facing the water. Just a little bit of Okay. And then I'm just, after I get the yellow, we're just going to add in that blue. And there's a little bit of white, yeah, a little bit of white in between the two colors. So I might still mess up if I'm being honest, but it'll probably look nice. The little bit of green in between. But yeah, I'm just going to try to add in. And it seems like with this area, much like we kind of did with these waves here, there's some kind of texture with the branches. So I'm going to try to make, this is still being wet on wet, but we're going to kind of make a few branch areas that look like jagged branches here, and then lay down our color. So okay. Does anyone have any plans this weekend?
Working.
I see. So you work on the weekends too, as well as the weekdays?
She's working.
Yeah, I work.
Oh, okay.
What did you say, Heather?
I said, you're working overtime.
Ah.
Well, Sunday I won't, because Sunday I'm on, as of when I get done working Saturday, I'm on vacation.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you taking a vacation, or are you just?
I'm on staycation.
Oh, staycation. Very nice. Have anything fun planned for staycation?
Nope.
That's all good. Just relax.
Yep. Catch up on my sleep. I can't take a full week vacation because I couldn't get next Friday off.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
So.
Well, I hope you enjoy yourself. I hope you get a lot of sleep.
And get housework done, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Catch up on some things that I definitely have a whole list of things I need to do, and
Yeah, same here.
a big list on, yeah.
Hands for laundry and things like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Always a craft project or reading or something.
Yeah, catch up on some books. Oh,
I have enough of them.
Same here. I have a big pile of books that I haven't got through yet, but then I always want to go to Barnes and Noble and get more books because it's so nice there. But
And I have a ton of painting projects to do.
yeah, there you go. Even more painting projects. That's great. Yep, I have cats. Do you guys have cats at all, or?
I have a dog.
Okay, a dog. Well, I have dog fever.
Come here, Baxter.
Ooh, Baxter. Nice name.
Come here. You come up here. You say hello?
Yeah, I'd love to see. Oh my gosh, I want to see him. Oh, baby. Oh, he's so cute. Oh my goodness.
Say hello?
Oh, is he what kind of a dog is he?
He's half Sheltie Collie, half Basset Hound.
Oh, cute. So just a in general good dog. That's great.
What? Go.
Oh, I hear that Basset Hound. I hear it.
Yes, I know. I told you to say go hi. Go lay down. Sorry.
He's saying, "What's going on? You call me over and then."
Tell me over and then tell me go away.
I know what's going on. I'm getting mixed messages, but no, he's really cute. I have dog fever, and I wish I could get a dog, but just can't quite. I don't quite have the schedule that's stable enough yet. So
And we used to have another dog, Peanut, and Peanut's been gone for a year and
Oh.
5
I'm
months.
sorry about that.
Yeah, but I'm getting to the point where I'm almost ready to get another dog, but
There
not
you go.
quite yet.
Yeah. You got to give it time. It's hard to it's hard to truly like move on, and well, you never quite move on. Yeah. Yeah. I'll get a dog someday, but 2 cats is quite enough right now. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the other little tree down here, and we're gonna add pretty much just purple in to this one. I don't really think there's much blue. There's maybe just a hint of blue if you want to add it, but there's definitely more purple than anything. So we'll do just a purple base layer as well with that. I'm also kind of just drawing, so if we're looking at the reference image here, there's kind of just this little streak that goes right here of purple. So I'm going to kind of add that as well when I'm doing when I'm laying down the water. I'm going to put that little streak in there too. If you guys see what I'm talking about, just going to kind of add that in. Yeah, Josiah actually has a Spanish degree, and he was so kind because the other day he offered, I said, hey, is there any chance I could maybe get tutoring from you? Because I've taken about 5 years of Spanish in school, but it's been a little while since high school and middle school, so I'm kind of losing it and I don't want to do that. And he goes, yeah, sure. So yesterday we tried to like get through a short story in Spanish, and oh my gosh, I am so bad at it. I've forgotten so much. It's just crazy how much you forget in 4 years. But I can at least, kind of start working on it and getting more of it back. But
Well, Heather has a degree in Spanish too.
oh, you do? Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, I actually have a master's in Spanish. I thought I was going to be a college professor, but changed my mind somewhere.
A master's. What a coincidence. That's incredible. That's really admirable. Did you end up staying anywhere in a Spanish-speaking country? Did you live anywhere for a while?
I didn't.
That's okay. That's okay. But wow, I suppose in order to get a master's, you have to be pretty much fluent in.
Yeah, fairly fluent. I mean, obviously there are things that you don't know in every language. I don't know all of the English language either. But,
Right. That's true.
Yeah, but I don't use it on a daily basis anymore, so I'm definitely kind of rusty too.
Yeah. It's my uncle has a degree in Spanish, and yeah, it's just kind of crazy if you don't. I think it's just the place, living in North Dakota. There definitely are some Spanish speakers, but you don't encounter them as much as you would maybe if you were living down in like California or somewhere with a higher Spanish population. So Spanish-speaking population.
I actually went to Concordia for my undergrad, so
Oh.
I know there are professors and all from there that speak it, but
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's really cool. Do you, I was going to say, I know there's so many jobs where if you're talking with people or you're trying to do customer service or something, and if you know Spanish, it can just be great because then you can end up communicating.
I started out at our company at the bank, but I stopped taking phone calls and started working by email instead. So, yeah.
There you go.
So Nancy actually had an email in Spanish this morning that she was asking me to.
Oh, there you go. That's great. So it's.
I can generally figure it out if it's in writing, but I don't listen to it or speak it as much. So.
I think that's always the well, maybe not always, but it's definitely more tough to engage in a conversation
Yeah.
vocally and audibly with Spanish, especially considering the native speakers can be really fast and use, you know, terminology that you wouldn't learn in a school setting.
Yeah. One of the best pieces of advice that my mentor gave me was to learn how to think in the other language.
Oh, yeah,
So,
definitely.
and that's really been helpful because if you're trying to think in English and translate it into Spanish as you go, or vice versa, it's a lot harder to do it. You won't get the words in the right order in the sentence and that kind of thing. But if you can learn how to think
Yeah.
in that language, and eventually you do, it takes time, but eventually you can do it. You know,
Yeah.
then it flows a lot more easily that way.
That is very helpful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. I actually just went to I took a trip to Barnes and Nobles and I got a book with Spanish short stories and a Spanish workbook, and so I'm going to try to look through those, and I guess there's a couple helpful websites as well that Josiah pointed me out to that you can kind of learn some stuff. So okay.
Sorry, I always loved my literature classes.
Yeah, definitely. How are we doing, everybody?
Good.
Okay. So yeah, now that we have our kind of base layers down with the purple on this side, I'd say we start working on some of the waves and the clouds, and then we'll come back and loop around to the trees again. Trees should almost be dry, at least in the top here. So let's put in the clouds. There's just 2 of them, pretty simple, but it's more of that wet on wet technique, but I'm gonna start with this kind of longer cloud, this more elongated cloud here, and we're just gonna kind of block out the shape of the cloud. It's gonna be kind of right where the purple and the orange are existing up here, and feel free to make it, I mean, if you want to make it a different shape, you do it. It's all about what you guys want and what you think looks good. So I'm going to kind of make it a little bit more elongated though, and keeping in mind that the shape, you know, the kind of, once I fill in this cloud, how can I phrase it? I guess just make sure to, when you're laying the water down, to lay it down in the shape that you want the cloud to be, because then once we add the colors, that's how it's kind of going to be. You can of course make it larger, but, or change the shapes as you're going, but. So then as I get closer to the middle of the sky here, I'm just going to kind of taper it out a little bit. It's going to get thinner, and eventually it's just going to kind of stop. Okay, now I'm going to, with that cloud, I'm going to add blue and purple. So it's going to be a lighter blue and a lighter purple, but then we're going to add in more. This isn't going to be quite as dark as the other cloud is, but okay. And then I'm going to kind of put in the purple as well. It can kind of just mix with each other, and just put zones of purple and blue in. And we're just going to do one layer on the clouds just because, well, they don't really need multiple layers at least, so.
My foot still hurts.
So did you say hi to Hannah or not?
Oh, hi, John.
Hi, Hannah.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Enjoying your summer?
Trying to.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, haven't really been doing much, so.
Oh, I understand that. I get that. Besides, coming here, it seems like this is pretty much the most going out thing I do, but yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of it. We just have, maybe like less than a month left, so sheesh, time goes.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to like 2 weeks from now, I think, because it's my birthday.
Oh,
So,
well, happy birthday. How old are you turning?
well, it's not my birthday today, but it's on the 8th, and I'll be turning 21.
Ooh, the big 2-1. That's always I suppose, depending on how you look at it, a fun birthday, but.
I'm definitely going out for sure.
Ah, very nice. I didn't actually drink on my 21st birthday, but you can go. I was just excited the fact that you could just go places then, You could simply enter spaces you could not before, so.
And I'm lucky enough that my birthday's on a Saturday.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Not everyone has the pleasure of having it on a weekend.
That is true. That is true. Well, you'll have to make sure to stop by the arcade Pixeled. That's a really fun one because it has all the game. It's on NP Avenue. It has a bunch of old vintage video games in there. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of pretty much just old games. They just have a lot of vintage games in there, vintage video games. So that's really fun, if you like that kind of stuff. Okay, so I think we're going to do the other cloud. And that one's a little bit more compact, I should say. It's a little less long and a little more stout, but that's going to be just kind of right by these trees down here. So we're just going to kind of make this one's almost like a little bit of a triangle. He's got a little more height to him. And he's a little bit smaller. So yeah, we're just going to kind of make him, I don't know why I keep calling it a him, but yeah, just a little guy. And this one's going to have a little bit more color to it and a little more dark, but I'm just going to kind of lay out the color here. Yeah, this one's these clouds are pretty easy and simple, but yeah, I'm just going to put a little purple in there, kind of in the center, and then we're going to get some dark blue, or just almost taking straight from the well, the color well, and laying down some really concentrated color kind of on the bottom half of it. And actually, since this other cloud is still a little bit wet, I'm just going to add a little bit more color of this darker color, just on a hint on the bottom as well. Just so we have a little bit more evenness among them, but yep. And that's it for the clouds. Unless you want to do more with them, but now we're just going to work on adding in the waves. Actually, you know what? Let's move on to the trees next, just because the trees need about 3 layers to look decent. So let's touch on those trees and then we'll come back to the waves. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, my trees are dry. Are you guys' trees dry yet, or?
Mine are.
Okay, great, great. So now what we're gonna kind of do is just kind of add a few darker areas. So this will definitely be, these two will be in purple, or no, in blue, and these two will be with purple. We're just gonna kind of not add the super dark details yet, but go over it with kind of a second wash, not covering the entire area, but at least with these, we're gonna start with the blue. So I'm gonna go back to my blue again. And we're gonna make it, yeah, a little more dark and concentrated. And we're just gonna kind of put that over some of the areas here of the trees. And this one we're not doing wet on wet, we're just going in on top of the dry. You can kind of start to make maybe a few branches here and there. Start to add a little bit more detail. Because then when we finally add the top layer, it's just going to really pop. So again, I'm not covering the entire bottom layer of this. So there's a few areas where I'm letting that lightest layer kind of peek out, just so we have more dimension. But even with the reflection in the water, I'm just kind of barely putting it in, or making it really kind of messy. And yeah, so like I said, I have 2 cats, and the one is just still a baby. We just got her, I'd say, a month and a half ago, and oh my goodness, her name is Miso, like the miso soup that you get at an Asian restaurant. And she, even though her name is Miso, we've just started calling her Big Naughty, because oh my goodness, she gets into everything. She's like a weasel. You know, if you leave anything out on the table, she's whacking it off. If you leave anything on the floor, she's gonna get into it and chew it, and it's just crazy. So we have to almost like child-proof our house right now. And she's getting on we have an older cat named Tika, and she's getting on her nerves too. So I'm just hoping she'll grow out of it, but okay. And then as I kind of reach towards the end here, I'm going to leave more of it lighter blue than less, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of just put a few areas with the darker shade of blue. That way it just kind of looks like the shadows are becoming more prevalent as we reach the back of the trees. So Okay, so with these trees, I think we're good, but I'm just going to kind of do the same to the bottom right-hand corner trees now. Just kind of going in. And especially kind of adding some branches and, well, not a bunch of branches, but once we get to the darkest color, we can really add in some of those branch details. But now that the yellow is hopefully dried on these bottom trees, you can kind of go over a few spots in the yellow just so it doesn't quite look so separated. I'm really excited. I'm going on a trip to Mackinac Island. I believe that's how it's pronounced. It's an island on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, off of Michigan, in Lake Superior. And apparently there's no cars allowed on this island because you have to take a ferry to get out to it. So there's horse-drawn buggies and stuff, and a bunch of friends are going, and I are going to this island, and I think it should be really fun, but kind of reminds me of this scene.
You're gone.
I think with the addition of this layer, it really starts to come out what this picture is starting to look like. But okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to do for the second layer here on the blue side. But on the purple side, we're just going to kind of do the same. I'll mix my two colors again.
You may be giving Hadley a bath. What? He's been texting. Oh, yes? Huh. What's been going on? We just talked about. First, I wanted to have to do it. All people come on that picture. Okay.
And then back side of the house. So it's south side.
I'm definitely going to start to add in more branch kind of shapes also with this purple. Just kind of really add them in because, yeah, it seems like the third layer is pretty minimal on these purple trees, so a lot of the details are going to be put in with this second layer here. I'm just using the very tip of my brush to kind of put in those branches, just very lightly, almost scribbling, making scribbling kind of motions. Okay, and with this upper little purple tree here, we're also going to kind of add in a few waves. So the waves kind of mesh with the purple, and you can kind of add in a few waves if you'd like to near the bottom of the little island, or I'm just going to kind of add that. Might go over it with some darker colors or darker purple on the third layer, but I'll just kind of add that in.
Yeah. Okay. So I give you a call back just to clarify exactly. Okay. Around the summer would be cool. So I'll let yeah, you have to take the backside. corner, so the north corner, they went on the sun, around the sun on there.
Okay, so now that I have this second layer down with the trees, we're going to kind of take a break from the trees and we're going to go to the waves and then we'll come back to the trees to finish everything up. So, since we're on the purple, we're going to take a slightly darker purple and kind of in this blue and purple area of the water, we're just going to add a few darker purple waves in, so, or ripples, or just kind of creases on the lake. So I'm going to kind of, actually I'm going to take my smaller brush for this. Finally using the smaller brush. And just kind of getting my purple. And we're just going to go in and kind of add one, since we kind of have them coming off of these trees here. Just going to go in and put one down here. It's really faint right now, so I'm going to make it a little darker.
Yep. No, yeah.
Okay. So, yep, we're going to make that darker. And we're going to put a little bit larger one in. And right down here. And we're going to put one down here.
Yeah, we just had the line. It's old. But yeah.
You could put in as few or as little or as many as you'd like, but I'll put in a couple more. And kind of be different shape or different sizes, different lengths.
Okay. Okay.
Might put a few more faint ones in. Pretty light ones. Like one over here.
Well, we not horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, just well. Last one that we had.
All right, and then once I feel like I'm satisfied with the ripples on this side of the lake, we're gonna add several in on the kind of orange and yellow side. So still using the small brush, we're gonna redip into our light orange color. And this is a pretty light layer, but we're also just gonna, I'm gonna tilt my canvas a little bit to the side. Instead of adding just a bunch of little individual ones, you definitely can, but it's gonna take a while. It just kind of helps to almost just be very loose and lightly press down and go back and forth. And just kind of make, just with the tip of your brush, just kind of sketch in a bunch of them. And I'm going to do primarily orange waves on the orange side and yellow waves on the yellow side, and then have them kind of meet a little bit in the middle. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to add a ton in, because then it starts to look a little bit too busy. but just a few.
Okay. Yeah, let's see what I can, yeah.
And I'm gonna kind of get my yellow.
When?
Oh, this one. Oh, no.
And do the same.
Okay. Already. Yeah. Okay. Already, we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. Sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a few of these waves darker if you'd like to. A few lighter. Just kind of have them intermingling. Okay. Alrighty. So I actually might add just a few more yellow or orange waves that kind of into this white space because it's almost a little too empty right now. Okay. We're gonna do just a few more, and I think that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna call that good for the waves. If you want to do more or less, you can. And fortunately, I think we should almost be dry with our trees. How are we doing with the trees in the second layer? We mostly dry?
Mine are dry.
Okay.
Close.
That was you, Nancy? You said they were dry, or?
Yep.
Okay. How are yours, Heather?
Yeah, almost there.
Okay, almost there. Yeah, mine are almost there too. So I suppose we could give it just a little bit of a dry break, maybe. Oh my gosh, we have 15 minutes left. Holy crap-oly. That's crazy. Okay, well, we'll give it just a little bit of time. I'd say maybe like 5 minutes or less, and then we'll move on to our final touches, and we'll be done. Yeah, it's funny. I don't think I've done a painting yet that's actually taken the full 2 hours, but this one is gonna do it. So. Just a few more minutes, I think, and then we should be good. I'll give it 2 more, and then there's just a couple wet spots left, but I can kind of work around those. Okay, let's see. I think, yep, okay. I think we're gonna move on and finish up with our final layer on the trees. So, this,
Heather's still missing.
oh, okay. No worries, no worries. We are not in a rush, so. Yeah, my upper rows of trees are almost as dark as where we're getting at, but just a few more finishing touches. So let's start with the purple ones at least. Are your guys' purple ones dry?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll work on the purple ones then. So I'm just going to, again, kind of mix my final layer and get this pretty dark. This is going to be our most dark one, so I'm not going to super worry about lightening this up. And we're not going to do a ton of area in this, just a few areas, I should say, because it'll really make it pop. So I'm just going to kind of start at the top here, at the top of the tree, and just really add in just a few areas where it's the darkest. So we're going to kind of start at the center of the tree here and work our way down a little bit. And we don't have to make it entirely look like every single branch. Again, it can kind of be loose and abstract. and that'll kind of help it too, but we're just going to do maybe like the center of that tree, and then the center of this tree, also kind of leaving that blue area alone. And putting in a few branches here and there. Again, this should be pretty dark at this point, pretty concentrated. We really want these to stick out. So if you have to go over them again with another layer, that's fine. I'm going to add a little bit more dark over here.
What?
Okay, and then we don't have to go all the way to the bottom. The trees can kind of connect in the middle and taper off. And then maybe just a few spots, random spots hanging. They don't all have to connect together, but if you want a few areas. And then we're just going to go back into those waves at the bottom and have those kind of blend in, and I think I need to make more because not quite dark enough yet. Okay. We really want these to pop, so. There we go. Yep, so then we'll just have that kind of, those waves kind of mesh into the trees. And fade off. Okay. So there's that, and then we'll do the same with the trees on the lower side. And actually, if you'd like to even, you can take just a little bit of maybe like the reddish purple and just kind of add that straight into, in a few spots, just straight into the trees, just to kind of add a slight amount of variation in the color. You can just kind of touch that in. Just so then there'll be slight areas of reddish purple. It won't be very noticeable, but you know, it can be subtle and you can notice it as you're seeing your painting. So now we're going to do the lower part doing the same. Just a few key areas. Woo! I had way too much water on my brush. Okay. Alrighty, yeah, and we're going to do even kind of less on these trees, just kind of barely touching a few areas. And Okay, so that's good with the lower trees. We're chugging along. And actually, I kind of lied. We're gonna add a little bit of purple, a few purple branches to the trees on this side, and we're gonna make sure to kind of stick to the left side of the tree. So I'll show you kind of, just gonna add a few, actually a few just branches on this side of the tree, making them very zigzaggy, and make sure those are, yeah, a little bit darker. Kind of have this one come out, interacting with that yellow. Okay. And then they'll kind of stop here on this big tree, at least. Okay, and then we'll do a smaller tree here. Just kind of add a few purple branches in. And then we'll go over top with the dark blue. But I might just work on the purple and then go up to these trees and then come back around again, because maybe we'll allow them a little bit of dry time in between, just so they have a chance to get set in before we go over it with a bunch of blue. But yep, just a few areas here with that purple, and then we'll be done with the purple. Okay, I'll give those trees a break, and I'll go up to the top trees with the dark blue. How's everybody still doing? Good, 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 good. Okay, get it pretty concentrated and just go for it. You'll have to make sure to post the images for what they look like. I'd love to see them. I think they're going to be great. Okay, yeah, just a few key areas. Just a few dots almost, just towards the end of these trees. I think this is my favorite part, in my opinion, of the painting, is just putting the last final piece on top and pulling it all together. Okay, so these trees are good. Now just the trees on the bottom, and we're done. Bless you.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, I believe I am done. And how are you guys doing?
I'm done.
All right. Hey. Yay. Don't forget to sign it. Here, let me see if I can switch up my screen so I can, let's see, share my screen. One to bar spin, multiple can share. Let's see. Okay, here. There we go. Okay, now I'm at a view where I can see your guys' paintings better. So, I mean, if you wanna show them, if they're still pretty wet, like I understand. Oh, beautiful! Ah, I love it. Yes, that's so nice. And if you're still working, that's totally fine. Okay, well, I think this was a good one. I appreciated this. So, it's interesting teaching a watercolor class. I haven't done that before, so you definitely have to slow down. Yay! Oh, it's so nice. I love it. You guys, this was a smashing success, I think. So, huzzah to us. But, well, thanks again. What was that?
Definitely relaxing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Watercolor.
We needed that.
Good. I needed that too, I think. Watercolor makes you just...
Together after the week we've had, or the day we've had.
Have you guys had a rough day?
Yeah, this work stuff.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad then you could join us. So,
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
Oh, of course. Thank you for letting me hang out with you and hanging out. But, well, this was great. Maybe, huh?
Good luck with your Spanish, too. So are you taking the class in the fall? Or
Thanks.
what?
Well, you know, I have tried to get into classes at NDSU for Spanish, but they're always at on times that just don't align with my required classes. So that's kind of why I was thinking, you know, doing some stuff myself and then tutoring with Josiah so I could at least fit it in.
I wasn't sure if you were trying to gear up to get your gen ed taken care of at school or what.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Sorry.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you have like your language requirement in the fall or something. Trying
So I think
practice for that or something. But
I think because I'm double majoring, it counts as like there's some weird rule that says, oh, you don't actually need to if you're like double majoring. You don't have to have a language requirement, which is kind of weird, but I think
John doesn't need a language in college for accounting. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, interesting.
I'm not sure which programs required it when I was teaching it because I was a teaching assistant and adjunct faculty when I was working on my master's.
Oh, great.
And
Okay.
So I had a bunch of students that were in there just because they had to have it was the basic level of it and they had to have the language. So, but I don't know which programs required it and which didn't.
I think maybe some of the humanities programs require it.
There could be, yeah.
Yeah, but I think for at least some of the more technical, you know, like finance or engineering. I don't think engineering has to have it, but yeah.
Do you need a language for college? Yeah, he's for accounting and fraud. He doesn't need a language for.
Okay. Yeah, I think both theater and art need languages, but considering I'm double majoring, they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess you're fine then, considering you got your plate pretty full, so.
Well, he did take three years of high school language. So.
Yeah. I think you can, you definitely have to take multiple years, whatever you're doing of a class in language to even start to pick up on stuff, considering you just got to be learning so much of it. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe by this time next year I'll be a little bit, a slow progression, you know, improvement, but.
Yeah, watch TV shows in Spanish, listen to audiobooks in Spanish, listen to music in Spanish. I love music in Spanish.
Ooh.
That was always fun. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do enjoy Spanish music.
Spanish.
Yeah.
And then you're hearing it and can pick it up, and you'll be amazed how much you start to pick up words that you actually know. And
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I know I just need to surround myself with Spanish. Definitely. But okay, well, thanks Heather, thanks Nancy. It was good seeing you.
night.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one.
Night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.